Welcome back to Elevate. My name is Angie Chang, founder of Girl Geek X, and with us today we have Bhavna, who's a staff machine learning engineer at Yelp, and she'll be sharing her journey from burnout to balance and tips for prioritizing your mental health. Welcome, Bhavna.
Thank you, Angie, and thanks again for Girl Geek X for letting me talk about something that's really meaningful for me. I have experienced burnout before and been fortunate enough to find resources and support to navigate it. I wanted to share my run book with everybody today, and hopefully that resonates with you if you have experienced this or are currently experiencing it. Um, yeah, let's get started. A little about me. I'm an ML engineer at Yelp. Some things are so good that you have to do it twice. So I've been at Yelp before, 4 years ago, for about 2 years, and I'm back again. I've been with Trust and Safety, and now I'm currently with such quality team. In between these two stints, I was at Grammarly, helping users communicate better. Fun fact about me, my longest bike ride is 100K, so that's around 62 miles. And that's an analogy I'm going to be leaning into during the talk today, so please bear with me. I want to start off by just sharing like what burnout looks like and where this what causes it. It's usually by stress or excessive demands, sometimes also by unclear expectations, and also the changing world. Technology is changing in the last 4 years. We've also had a pandemic, we've had macroeconomic conditions, we've had war, and you and your family might have experienced one or more of this, and that affects your ability to show up at work. I do think, like any other affliction, identifying what you're experiencing, what the symptoms look like, can help you put together a plan to ensure that there's early intervention and make sure you're able to recover from it. The later you let yourself, the later you identify, it's going to be harder. The recovery is going to look as hard. Some symptoms of burnout. I think the first one is important, with the emphasis on persistent fatigue. So just like a good bike ride, sometimes at the end of it, you're a little out of breath, but you're able to take a look back at the journey and say, that was a great ride. And you're able to take in the views and really feel a sense of pride. I think that's what a good project as well looks like in tech. Most of the times, we're solving hard problems, either in terms of building new tools or technologies, applying it in a domain that hasn't been applied before, or doing it in a time that's quite ambitious. So, all of these things are hard to do, and usually there is a sense of tiredness that sets in. But if it's very persistent and it leaves you feeling very exhausted, I would say that's burnout. Like I said, sometimes the sense of accomplishment when you've finished a project is lacking if you're going through this. And you might also be struggling with some sense of inadequacy or having a sense of confidence in yourself. This might also lead to withdrawal from other social interactions. And as you find yourself questioning a lot of your capabilities. I think there are three main strategies that you should really look to if you are dealing with this. The first one is managing your burnout itself. And I'll go through three different ways that you should look at it. The second one is seeking support. I don't think you should tackle this by yourself, and there are many resources available to help you navigate this. And last, we'll go over a bit on how you could rebuild to a more balanced way of work. When it comes to managing burnout, I think the first step that you should definitely do is reset certain expectations. And the first thing I would recommend is having a reflection on your own bar for your craft. I usually find that I work with people who have a very high bar for their craft. So I am an ML, so that might mean like using the most cutting edge models, producing high quality data, producing high quality results, um, making sure that it's very well documented, well tested, uh, and all of these things, of course, make your output and quality of your output really high. But as you're experiencing burnout, you might have to identify what is good enough that helps you reach the outcomes while keeping a manageable output level. There are some steps that you could take very proactively in the immediate, short, and long term that can help you create a more balanced work life. In the most immediate term, I think this looks like realistic goals. So let's say you're going on a same bike ride as you have before, but you're doing it with underinflated tires. It means you're going to take a bit longer. So revisiting timelines, and maybe you have to take more breaks now than before to help rebuild that focus. So incorporating buffers are some things that you could do. And in case timelines are not flexible, another approach is looking at priorities and identifying what's the most impactful thing that you could do, and if there are things that are not as impactful that you could take off your plate. In either of these cases, I would definitely emphasize on communicating expectations early on to any of your stakeholders, be it a manager, your teammates, or any other external teams that have dependencies on your work. In the short term, looking beyond your current work and current project, it's good to see if the work that you're doing is aligned with your interests and goals. So, a big part of that motivation for work comes by looking at your projects. And there might be opportunities to craft your projects either or your tasks based on what is more motivating to you. For example, if giving back or mentorship is something that you find very motivating, identifying opportunities to either within your team to mentor junior members or volunteering to mentor an intern within the team is a good way. Another one, if you know finding a bug and really spending a week looking into nitty gritty of your code to fix it is something that's always like gives you a lot of joy or energy. That's something that you could work with your manager to identify tech debt and account for certain amount of time so that you are working on more of these tasks that are energizing to you. At the end of the day, I think there needs to be some overlap between the demands of the organization versus your own skill. So as you pick projects, ensuring, especially during burnout, it's very important that there is some amount of overlap between these two. In the really long term, I like this infographic. It's from Will Larson's blog called The 40-Year Career. And I think it's a great picture of how any work that you're doing at any point of time, if you take a step back and look at the big picture, it's only a very small snapshot. So if you're experiencing burnout, I definitely recommend identifying if you're going at the right pace for your career. Um, from my own experience, when I took a break and came back from burnout, for the next 2 quarters, I actually took on challenges that were lesser scope than I had before. It helped me lean into aspects of the job that were motivating for me, which was people as well as learning. This ensured I was not overwhelmed. I was working with more folks. That was fun for me. And that set me up for the next year of work, which actually had the most toughest technical challenges as well as hardest deadlines than I have ever had in my career. But taking that break, slowing down, really helped me set up for that phase of working at a greater pace on larger challenges. As I said, I think these are the things that you can definitely work on and reflect on by yourself. Uh, but doing it with support is something that I would recommend. Um, Usually, having that sense of community and bringing in fresh perspectives makes you more resilient. Again, to do this, the first thing I would recommend you do is identify like what is a safe space to share what your struggles are. usually at a workplace, it's professional and it has an aspect of accountability. So it might be harder to say, I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. So starting off in a conversation with your peer network, either be it friends or prior colleagues or classmates or mentors, even outside your team, might help you look at solutions, especially for the short term and the long term. Right? So, for your role or your career, these conversations are better had in a setting or with a set of people who don't have any stakes in your current project and your current role. So, this is where I would recommend you start off uh, thinking about these aspects. But the highest leverage thing that you could do is really work with your manager for the immediate scope as well as the short term scope, basically looking at timelines and priorities as well as the projects that you're going to take on next. Working with your manager is the best thing that you could do. Your success is really what they're invested in as well. I have been fortunate enough to work with very empathetic leaders who have helped me through this process. I would definitely recommend doing that. One thing that's helped me is going to my manager with a solution. Again, because there is that aspect of accountability, instead of saying I'm struggling with, framing that as if I had this, this, and this, I would perform better. Is easier for me to phrase it. So I would recommend doing that. So again, having that conversation with your support group of peers may help you identify one solution that you can bring to your manager. Uh, while you identify a solution, like going into the conversation with your manager, I would still keep it open. So start by seeking feedback. Sometimes the narrative that we have within ourselves about our output and what outcomes we're driving might not be as objective. So talking to your manager, getting their views on it might be a good start. And then you can present your solution and then brainstorm with them what that expectation resetting of either projects, timelines, or scope could look like. I would also look at what sort of support is available at your work. Again, like if you are being your best self at work helps your company succeed. And a lot of times, companies have assistance programs available. This might look like professional coaching or therapy. And depending on your circumstances, you might also be able to avail short term or long term disability. The final part of this, I think, is building that path to balance. So being able to enjoy your uphills or even just a flat road ride, right? For me, this is a definition I came up with, which is doing consistently meaningful work while having fun. I know the fun part is not always true for everybody. Um, some people prefer to draw a boundary between the professional as well as personal life. For me, I realized like having fun is a very big aspect of life. I can't take anything seriously, and that's true for work as well. Creative problem solving, working with people is fun for me. I wanted to ensure that any work that I do had those two aspects. The other one was meaningful work. Again, this is different for different people. Working in ML, some people find it more fulfilling to build foundational models and new algorithms or new techniques. Some people find it fulfilling to make these models work at scale for really large set of users. For me, it's about using ML to really help meet users' needs. So that last part of it, and I think I've used it. I've heard the term product engineer be used, and I think that's the part that resonates with me. And then the last part is consistently. So I know I want to be doing this for a while, so making sure I'm working at a pace that helps me with my long-term goals. So once I had this view, then I was able to look at how I can rebuild to this balance. So work for me is not a primary focus, but because it's something that I do 8 hours a day, it at the minimum should be a positive impact on my life. So really looking at sources outside of work on how I can make that an aspect of my life that's also energizing was very important. if you're struggling with burnout at work, it's very tempting to account for more time for work, but making it your only focus does more harm, really. So, looking for ways to rebuild your energy, either through hobbies or exercise, and really spending quality time. So, this might look like a bike ride with your friends or family. That's what it looked like for me. Another thing that I would emphasize is learning new skills, maybe through a side project or a course or some self guided learning. This goes a long way in breaking the monotony that you might be facing at work. And I also think it helps build a flywheel of wins. Something that I did that really helped build confidence on was learn swimming. I didn't know that before, and I didn't know I could do that before. And the way it helped me at work is understanding that I can do new things that I've never done before, and really preparing for challenges that were otherwise overwhelming. It building new skills definitely translates in terms of motivation and energy at work as well. The last thing that I wanted to leave you with is all of these things take time. So, really embracing the fact that you are in a period of change um, is a good reflection. Patience is your biggest strength at this point. And again, going back to that long term career view, understanding that this is only a snapshot and it's not a definition of who you are, what you're capable of, goes a long way. And yeah, there are people who have faced burnout and come out and done bigger projects. In my own experience, I've done my best projects after I've gone through this. So the possibilities are definitely more if you ensure that you're rebuilding your energy uh, when you come back for work. Just want to share some resources that I found useful. This is a blog post. The Optimistic Workplace is a great book to reflect on that balance of work. I also wanted to share a calendar link. If you go into resources, I've added the link there. For the next 4 Thursdays, if you are experiencing burnout, I'm happy to talk to you about anything that I shared today, or just brainstorm your own circumstances as well as experiences. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, if you have any questions or if you'd just like to talk about it, um, I'm happy to take questions. I also realize we're at time, so Angie, please let me know how we're doing.
So we're at the last session of the day. So if you wanted to, you can actually go over and take some of the questions in the Q&A. On the right side, I see some questions. One of them is, do you have an example of what a flywheel of wins looks like?
Yeah. So this at work might look like taking on really small tasks and scoping it in a way that you know you can achieve that in the timeline that you want and for the bar of quality that you want. I think it's very tempting always to challenge yourself. If you're building a flywheel of wins, it might look like smaller projects and smaller tasks. So you can ensure your confidence and your motivation is really solid before you move on to those bigger challenges. Angie, I think you're on mute.
I think I'm on mute too. Okay, there's some questions here about how to keep yourself motivated and deal with distractions from toxic people.
That's a hard one. I've generally found distance is the best way to do it. Not everybody has the same empathy, I find, if you're struggling through this. So identifying your support group within your team or even outside your team. Again, as I said, I think looking outside of work really to find that support is a great way to do it. Other people have lower stakes in your performance, in your role. So looking at your peers who are really just invested in you and is a great way to do it. Unfortunately, toxic people are usually always there, or is a part of life, and I would recommend distance, drawing clear boundaries. So this might look like not engaging with them on personal topics, and keeping it very professional with them.
That's excellent advice. Thank you so much for this talk.